welcome back to my channel. Today we are filming a September read and wrap up, so all the books I read in September. Firstly, I would like to say is that I loved this month in terms of reading. There were points where I felt like I wasn't reading whatsoever and I was a bit guilty in terms of like, oh, I haven't read today. And then other days I read so much and like read so much of a book in one sitting, and I could see I was making progress. I was reading a lot of physical books this month instead of reading on my iPad, which I notice motivates me a bit more because I can as I hold a book I can see how far I'm into it, whereas on the iPad it does say like a percentage, but I never actually know how much that is. So yeah, I did have a really good reading month in my opinion. Overall, I read 6 books this month, which I'm very happy with. Again, my goal was 5 books, so I beat that. And considering that, I moved house, I went on a holiday, and I was just constantly busy, I feel like 6 books, again, is just, I don't know, an achievement. So I'm up to 58 books out of 100 so far, and I've just completely given up on my 100 goal. So my goal for the end of the year now is 80. So far I've got 58 books out of 80 read, and I've also started an A to Z reading challenge, which I did a whole separate video about, and I am like progressing in that as well. So I do actually have a bunch of copies of books I read this month here with me because, as I've said, I have actually been reading physical books, and I do have some I listen to as audiobooks, more of like non-fiction ones. So I think I'll start with the non-fiction ones because that just makes it easier. So firstly, I finished a book called Conversations on Love by Natasha Lunn. I started this back in August, I'm pretty sure, and I managed to finish it this month. I got recommended a bunch of self-help books by a YouTuber called Tam. I am not sure how you say her name and I don't want to say it wrong, so I'll just pop it up here somewhere. She did a video about all the self-help books you need to read. And I kind of am going through that list slowly, and this was the first book on, it wasn't the first book on the list, but the first book I chose from the list. And I actually enjoyed it, so I rated it 4 stars. Again, it's a book that you can't really put a rating to, but I did anyway. It was about life stories and people's experience, definitions of love and long-term relationships and how to make it work and things like that. It was definitely a very insightful read. So with these books that I've got on my self-help book must-read list, I actually wanted to make notes on each book that I read. So for Conversations on Love, I just thought I'd read my notes out because, I don't know, I'm so bad at explaining books without giving spoilers and just explaining my thoughts on books in general. So the thing I wrote down here, I feel like that's gonna give a good view of what's in the book, or this is basically my takeaway from the book. So I wrote, love is ever-changing. Everyone has a different experience with love. Friendship love is very often forgotten, but so many times worth more than romantic love. Loss is sad, but we need to be exposed to it to make space for new things. Also, love doesn't just disappear with loss. Lasting marriage requires remarrying the same person over and over, as people change over time. It's finding new aspects of the person to love. You never fully know your partner. Also, the lust is at the start, then scheduling sex works. Read the book on that section. The anticipation and effort put into getting ready for the partner at scheduled times gives a different kind of love. Yeah, so that's my takeaways from the book, but obviously I had so much more. I enjoyed it, and again, as I said, I learned from it, and I feel like now, you know, I'm more ready to adult. And yeah, the next non-fiction book I listened to as an audiobook was The Age of Unpeace: How Connectivity Causes Conflict by Mark Leonard. So this book, I rated it 2 stars, but I'm not sure why. I think, yeah, I just found it a bit boring. So the author had this idea that this era that we're living in right now, it's called like the Age of Unpeace, or we should call it the Age of Unpeace, because there's no like actual wars going on, like world wars. I mean, there's obviously like smaller wars and everything, but there's like no world war physical fighting in like every country. At the same time though, there's like smaller things happening everywhere. There's stuff to do with the economies, and there's also the internet, which is like a huge thing nowadays, and there's a lot of like cyber attacks and cyber security issues and things like that. And basically he talked a lot about from like things going on in like all over the world, like China, Russia, America, Turkey. Yeah, I think there was mention of Turkey, Iran, all kinds of countries and like things going on. It was interesting to an extent. I feel like I learned a lot of it in my sociology course at college, which it was a nice little reminder of it and refresher. And I guess the author added like a bit more to everything and like a personal viewpoint. But overall, the book was just a bit boring to me. Maybe I'm just not into politics as much, you know, these kind of books. But it was worth a try, and you know, I'm happy I got through it. Right, so moving on to the physical books. Now you've already seen 2 of them. Okay, let's start with this one. So I finished Dark Places by Gillian Flynn. I rated it 4 stars and I enjoyed it. It was a very dark book, let's just say that to begin with. A very dark book, and it was, would you call it a mystery? It was just, you know, like a crime mystery book throughout. Yeah, so I enjoyed the crime, solving the crime aspect to it, but the ending was a bit disappointing to me. I don't know what I was waiting for, but there was so much build up and I kind of guessed it by the end who it was. Although in like the last chapters, the author did keep me guessing, but I had an idea throughout and that was it in the end. So it was a good book. It kept me entertained, that's for sure. It took me a bit longer to get through than I expected, but I think it was because it was so dark and like there was so much there was so much stuff going on it made me concentrate a bit more, and yeah, I did enjoy it and I recommend it to anyone who's into like crime/mystery books. Next I read Twisted Love by Anna Huang. This was another great read. I rated it 4 stars again. I really enjoyed it to begin with. I loved the start of it, but by the end it became too like cliche. I don't know if this is me just having read too many fanfiction, which is what like I heard this book is like kind of like. Yeah, I loved it to begin with. I loved the characters and the relationships they had, and then the end kind of ended on a somewhat lower note for me, hence the 4 stars. I honestly thought this was going to be a 5-star read at the beginning, but obviously the end didn't click with me as much. The end was okay, but overall the book was good. And I got the second book already because there is, I think, 3 more books, maybe even 4. I think 3 more books in this series, in the Twisted series. So I want to carry it on and finish it if the second book makes me want to carry on. And I didn't want to waste a lot of time between the 2 books because they're all, you know, like little details that I really don't want to forget. Okay, next I read Book Lovers by Emily Henry. This was my first Emily Henry book. Okay, firstly, this cover, I'm not happy with it. I've seen I think it's the US cover, and that's just better. This cover, the way it's like so many colours, it just annoys me because I was trying to do, you know, like a rainbow bookshelf, and I never know where to put it because it's just a bunch of colours, and yeah, it just annoys me. But the book itself was great. I really enjoyed it. It definitely got me hooked into Emily Henry's more books. And I rated it 5 stars to begin with, but this morning I actually went back and changed it to 4. So this book actually made me cry a bit at the end, which is why I put 5 stars, because 5 stars I usually think it made me feel a lot of, like, you know, emotions. And it did make me feel emotions, but I felt like something was missing at the end. I did really enjoy the small town romance aspect to it. I feel like I'm gonna get into more of those in the future. And I did also enjoy the enemies to lovers trope. So maybe that's for me too for the future. And lastly, I've got You and Me on Vacation by Emily Henry. This is actually called something else. People We Meet on Vacation in, like, is that in the US? I'm not sure. I think this is like the UK version. When I tried to add this to my Goodreads reading list, I put this title in and I clicked on it. And then when I added it, it said People We Meet on Vacation. And I'm like, wait, no, that's not the book. And then I had to Google it, like, is this the same thing? And turns out it is. Like, they changed the title for the UK version. I don't know why they would do that. I don't know how that helps, but I guess more books to collect in the future. Anyway, this book, I just finished it last night and I loved it. It's a 5-star read for me. And I'm very happy with that because I wasn't sure if I could get a 5-star reading. And Book Lovers was good, but after I read this I knew that this was the 5-star, not that one. I loved it. Oh, I loved it so much. The characters I actually really liked, both of them. So there's Poppy and there's Alex, who go on this joint trip every summer, and it's like a friends to lovers story. And yeah, I just really enjoyed it. Poppy and Alex had such personalities that I was just in love with them, and they were just so cute. And I also love the travel aspect to it. So I do actually enjoy going places and traveling, and they traveled like every summer. It's kind of like not a now and then timeline, but like I guess it is a now and then, but it's not like then as in just one point in the past. It's like every summer, like a story from all the summers that they had together. And yeah, it was different and I loved it, and made me want to read more of Emily Henry's books. I don't know how much there is left, but I know there's quite a few, so that's a point for the future. So I did actually put myself on a book buying ban till the 1st of January next year, because my new shelf is like nearly full of books that I haven't read yet, and there's so many good books on this shelf, But I know there's also so many books like on my library app and just, you know, everywhere. And basically I want to, you know, get into these books, get into the books on my library app, and then buy new ones, because I spend too much money on books this year and I keep procrastinating certain books because I'm scared that they're not going to be as good as I hope they would be. But with Emily Henry books, these clearly proved me wrong, so I do hope to get into more books. That's all my books for this month. These two, and then the 2 audiobooks. Yeah, I'm just very happy with September as a reading month. I really enjoyed it, and I do hope October brings the same joy. I am starting university again, so I suppose I'm gonna be reading more for more like academic writing, you know, for my assignments and stuff. And I'm scared that that's gonna put me off reading for pleasure. I know it's like very different, but you know, it's reading, and if I'm reading the whole day for uni, I might not want to read when I get home. Hopefully that doesn't happen though. So I think I'm gonna close this video here. I really hope you enjoyed my little reading wrap up. I do love watching other people's reading wrap ups, so if you have one, please let me know down below and I'll go and watch it. Also, do go and follow my Instagram because I do have lots of updates over there when I have a video processing and it's not uploaded yet. Hope you enjoyed this video. Give it a like, subscribe, comment down below what you want to see more of, and see you next time.